Have you ever felt like you're constantly stuck in relationships whereby you feel like the people you are connected to are emotionally unavailable to you? How does that feel? Terrible, right? You feel neglected, alone, dismissed, and ultimately undermined in those relationships. Therefore, it's important that we realize that safety and emotional availability are two of the fundamental human needs that we all have. So, when any relationship does not have security and people that are emotionally available for one another, then it makes it difficult to create a fulfilling, lasting, and thriving relationship. Through this video, you will learn where that disease of emotional unavailability comes from, and you will learn how to stop that pattern starting with yourself so that when you master how to be emotionally available for you, then you can start to attract relationships with people that are emotionally available to you as well. So let's enjoy.
It's my dream, there are no lies. It's cold and dark, just like ice. I'm inside it, left it.
Neglect is one of the leading causes of relationship breakdowns. When people feel neglected, they start to see no value in investing in a particular relationship that they have. For instance, when a child is constantly neglected by the parent, they start to register in their mind that, oh, every time I wait for my mommy and my daddy to support me, they are unresponsive. So then, what's the point of me waiting for them? I might as well find another way to self-soothe or another person to look for help from. So then, when it comes to emotional unavailability, it is in direct connection with neglect. People feel unfulfilled in their relationships when they experience emotional unavailability from the person that they are seeking to connect with. So, for instance, let's start with childhood. That's where it all starts. If you have a pattern of chronically having friendships where you feel like my friends are not emotionally available for me, or my family is not emotionally available for me, or my partner is not emotionally available for me, then you might want to track back to your childhood to understand, why is this happening in my life? What is it about me that keeps attracting this pattern of having people that are constantly making me relive my childhood experiences of not having emotional availability and support, and in other words, neglect? Okay, so starting from childhood, when a child is young, they're basically dependent on their parent. When the parent is unresponsive, then it makes that child to grow up to be insecurely attached. They learn that the world is not a safe place. They learn that they cannot trust the adults or their caregivers that are within their proximity. So for instance, let's say the child got so upset, something angered the child, and then they go to their mommy or daddy, and then they say, "Mommy, I'm so angry. Like, I was playing and this guy came and he stepped on my toe and he didn't even say sorry. And I'm so angry. I'm so mad. And that's why I'm in a bad mood right now. I'm just so angry." And then the parent just dismisses that child and says, "Oh, don't worry, you get over it." Or just doesn't say anything. They continue to talk about something else. The child registers in their mind that, oh, you don't care about how I feel. I just expressed to you that I'm not feeling okay. I'm angry. So then you're just going to dismiss it as if I didn't say anything. Then they register that this adult is not trustworthy. I cannot feel safe with my mommy because when I need her to help me understand and make sense of this anger that I'm feeling, she leaves me. She just disregards it. So then that is when the child starts to be very insecure, very unsafe. All right. This is one example of just disregarding the anger. Another example is when you're ashamed for feeling the way you are feeling as a child. So for instance, the child can go to the mom and then say, "Mommy, I really think that guy is such a bad guy. He's so evil. He stepped on my toe. He didn't even say sorry. I'm so mad at him and I don't like him." And then the parent goes in to the child, goes off on the child and they starts to reprimand the child. "Hey, you shouldn't have to talk about other people that way. That's so bad. That's so mean. You shouldn't be like that. That is bad. You don't do that." Well, morally, it's not okay to speak negatively about others. I do agree. But the parent has to be considerate of where the child is coming from. Going off at the child and shaming them for feeling that way does not support the child at all. For all it does, it actually just makes the child to feel so bad about themselves, to register that their feelings don't matter, and it starts the pattern of that child growing up into someone who has extreme low self-esteem. Why? Because my mom just made me feel like I'm such a bad person for feeling this way, for speaking my truth. So then they learn that I cannot speak my truth because if I speak my truth, then people are going to shame me for it. All right. So that's what happens. So the parent, yes, is trying to be a good parent by training this child to be good towards other people, but they're going about it the wrong way. A better way to have handled this situation is to say, "Oh, I can see you're really angry. I'm so sorry about that. I'm sure it must be really difficult for you to experience what you just did. I really understand where you're coming from. And if I was in your shoes, I would also feel very angry and feel like this person is not a good person. So I do understand and I'm so sorry for that." Maybe give a child a hug after saying those words as well. So by just doing that, what the parent has demonstrated is that they have shown the child that their emotions are valid. They've validated the child's experience. They've shown the child that you are safe with me. You can communicate with me when you're not okay, and I will show up for you. You won't be alone in that emotional experience. I will sit there with you and experience what you're going through with you to the degree that I can. And then once the parent has shown empathy to the child in that way, then the child would be in a better position to process their emotions and be open to, okay, so how do we solve this? How do we sort this out so that I don't continue to feel so bad about this situation, and so that this person doesn't continue to be my enemy, but we can foster a better friendship in the future, right? But if the parent is going to be so quick at just giving the solution or shaming the child for acting that way, then the child learns that they don't matter. How they feel, what they just went through, it doesn't matter. And that just destroys the child's self-esteem. It destroys the child's self-worth. So what the parent does when they empathize with their child, that is support. When you put yourself in another person's shoes and allow yourself to experience life with them from their lenses, that is what is called emotional support, emotional availability, that you hear a lot of people crying about. So when a child has been shamed constantly, and every time they have these negative emotions arising in them, and they're constantly punished or just shamed, they start to learn that, okay, for me to be safe, for me to not feel so crappy about myself, I need to deny myself. I need to deny my experience. I can't talk about these things. And then they start the pattern of being inauthentic with themselves. So they start to be unavailable to themselves. So whenever they feel angry next time, guess what? That anger is going to be suppressed and they won't want to deal with it, to face it. They'll just have relationships where they're constantly hiding how they really feel. So when someone has used that as a coping mechanism of constantly suppressing how they feel throughout their life, when you finally meet people that are emotionally available for themselves and that expect you to be emotionally available for them, it's not going to work out well. So the first thing is, when you see someone expressing their anger, you are going to want to shame them the way the way that you were shamed when you were young. So for instance, you might start to treat that person the same way your mommy treated you years ago when they dismissed your emotions, or when they said negative things to you for expressing that anger. So instead of you being present for your friends or your partners or your family members and saying, oh, I recognize you angry, I'm here to support you. I really understand where you're coming from. You do to other people exactly what was done to you. Why? Because that's all that you know. You expect people to suppress their anger. And that's not going to work well, because for people that are secure, for people that are healthy, they're going to recognize that, no, why do you want me to suppress how I feel? This is wrong. This is not okay. But for someone that is insecure and for someone that is also wounded, they're just going to accept you treating them like that. They're just going to be like, oh, okay, I can't express my anger to this person because, well, if I do, they're going to reject me, or they're going to feel bad. They won't see me the same way. And they'll just enable you to treat them the same way you were negatively treated years ago when you were a child. So the first thing in really learning how to heal emotional unavailability is to recognize that if you are constantly unavailable to others in your relationships, it's coming from your adaptive style. It's a reflection of how you treat yourself. Because if you are someone that is emotionally available to yourself, you won't do that to other people, because you will understand that it is so beautiful to just be present with yourself. It is so beautiful to just acknowledge your experience, be it good or bad. It's your experience. You have a right to experience it, and you have a right to validate your emotions and work through them and not pretend like everything is okay. So the first step in healing relationships, when it comes to constantly attracting emotionally unavailable partners or friends or family members, you just have to learn to be emotionally available to yourself, first of all. So we have to be emotionally available to ourselves. And I speak this with a lot of passion, because it's a lesson that I learned the hard way. So professionally, I wear many hats. I'm actually a teacher for students with autism, and you know, they are special. They are amazing. They have unique traits and talents and skills, and they have abilities that neurotypical human beings sometimes don't have. And it's always fascinating for me when I'm working with them. So one of my students years ago, she was going through something, and then she told me, she didn't tell me, she told my friend what was bothering her. So she confided in my friend, and my friend was like, well, you seem to have a really great relationship with Sam. Why don't you speak to her about this? And then her response was devastating for me to hear. So her response is actually that, well, yeah, true, Sam is amazing, but I just feel like when I talk to her, she just gives me solutions, but she doesn't emotionally support me. Whoa! That was a slap to my self-concept, because personally, I've always seen myself as someone who's emotionally supportive to people I care about. So to finally hear someone else express that I don't feel emotionally supported by Sam, I was devastated. I was hurt. Because in my experience, that's not what I thought. That's not what I envisioned was happening. But to them, their experience was, you're not emotionally available to me. So then that helped me to wake up to the realization that, okay, as much as we want, you can see a solution clearly in your head that, no, the reason why you are struggling is because of this problem, and if you just apply this solution, this is what's going to work. That's good. But that's not always the best thing to do initially when someone communicates with you their struggle. The first thing is to be with them within that experience, is to listen to them, listen to everything they have to say, every nuance of the situation that they're describing. Pay attention to everything and validate their emotions instead of just, showing them, oh, this is where you're supposed to be. Nah. Show them that you understand why they're feeling that way and it's totally okay. And you are deeply sorry that they're going through that pain. And then when you feel like, okay, you've really emotionally supported them, then you can ask them, okay, so what would support mean to you? How do you want me to support you? Because I kid you not, when people come to us when they are not okay, then it's not always solutions that they're looking for. Sometimes it's just, I just need someone to listen to me. I just need someone to hear me, to feel what I'm feeling, to see where I'm coming from. I don't want to be alone in this experience. And you can't give people that if you're just so fixated in your solutions and how you would deal with the situation. Nah. You have to be able to also tune into other people emotionally and see the world through their eyes and show them that if I was in your shoes, actually, I would also feel the same way. I would do the same thing that you did. If I viewed everything from your perception, definitely, I do agree. Then just by doing that, you've established connection. But when you don't do that, then there's disconnection and people feel left out. They feel alone. And even when you give them solutions, they're not going to trust that solution that you're going to give them because, well, you don't even understand what I went through. You never gave me the chance to openly communicate all of the things that I needed to say. You didn't, show me that you really were with me in this emotional experience that I'm going through. So why should I trust your advice? So I know for a lot of people, we have different ways that we express our love to our loved ones. But what feels comfortable for you might not always be the best way that the other person expects you to love them. So maybe you are the type of person that loves people by just giving them solutions quickly, like I was. But I learned the hard way that sometimes people just need your presence. They just need you to respect their experience. They just need you to feel, to make them feel safe. They need to feel that I will be safe. I can safely talk about anything and not be seen as this bad person. And if you give people that, then they'll actually be a lot ready to implement solutions much faster than you thought possible. But what happens is if we try to fix solutions according to where at the level of we are, then it's not going to work because the person that you're talking to, they're not having the same experience that you are. So, yes. I really hope that we can cultivate emotional availability together in our relationships because when we are attentive to the emotional needs of our loved ones, a lot of problems are prevented. The things that seem like the big problems why people end up separating or just not being together anymore, they all come from being disconnected from someone's emotional reality. So the solution is to promote open communication, to provide safety when people are confiding in us, and to validate people's experience. Don't be so stuck in your reality to the point that you don't acknowledge that another human being doesn't see things the way you do. Another human being doesn't experience things the way you do or the way you want them to experience things. So this is really the secret to enjoying amazing relationships. And I promise you, when I fixed that flaw, I really started to see massive change in my interpersonal relationships. And it goes with everyone, really and truly. It's not just with the people that are close to you, but any person that you meet. people are hungry and starving for emotional availability and emotional support. And I really hope that we can love each other enough to support one another in that way. With that said, thank you for listening to this highly charged emotional video, and I hope that we can continue to grow together. So please don't forget to subscribe if you haven't yet. Put your comment and share with us your experience about emotional availability and how you started to learn to be emotionally available to yourself as well, and how you guys are, what are you guys experiencing? So leave your comment and let me know. But most importantly, please don't forget to be emotionally available for yourself, because that's the only way you can start to also attract people that will respect your emotions. But if you don't respect your emotions and you're constantly dismissing yourself and suppressing your feelings, then law of attraction, the same thing is going to be mirrored to you. So thank you so much and have a splendid week.
When you say